Let's create an employee service and import here. Let's open Spring Initializer, project as Maven and language as Java, Spring Boot, group stack dot employee. Let's give the description. Employee service. The package will be jar and version is 17. Let's add back the dependencies. Web. I need Eureka client. I need H2 database connectivity and supporting JPA. Along with that, Lambda and Chipkin and Equator. Let's generate this and import in IntelliJ. Let's add employee service in IntelliJ. Go to Maven and then select the path employee service and click OK. So let's start with creating an entity for employee. Let's go to our main Java package and then we'll create some packages in Let's create a class now as an employee. And give some properties. Make this as entity. Make ID as private key. Generated value g equal to generation type auto. So let's add data is for setters and getters from Lambo, and let's add no argument all arguments. So we are done with creating employee entity. Let me change user ID as employee ID. We make it little shorter, employee ID. Now let's create a repository package. And create a repository class for employee. Let's keep it as employee. And it should be interface. Let's annotate with repository and let's extend this to JPA repository. As we know, our employee entity is taking long as a private key, so let's keep this in a key and value pair. It's employee long type. So we are done with creating employee repository. Now let's create a service package. Service, and we'll create a class employee service. Let's annotate this as service, and let's auto wire our employee repository in the employee service. here as private. Let's create a controller package first. Create a class as employee controller. We will annotate that with Rust controller. Take employee service and auto wallet. Import. Right. Let me add few CRUD operations, and before that let's add select Poche. Request mapping. As employee. Let's add few methods. First save employee and make it as post mapping. Make as empty for now, and let's add this method in service class as well. We return my employee repository dot save. So I'm done with this. Let me add one more method in my controller, and like we discussed before, we need to check this employee is depending on which department, or this employee is mapped to the particular department. So we have to get department details here. So as we see, department service is a different service here, and employee service is different one. We have made a department ID. Based on this department ID, we will wrap that object. So let's create a package called value object, and we will copy the department entity. We will copy the department entity. We will add the entity which has these details. Let me copy my department to entity and let me paste it here. I don't want to make this as an entity, so let's remove the entity tag, and let's remove the ID and generated values. I just need to wrap it, so this is enough for me. And let's create a response template. And let's add both objects, employee E, and let's make it private. Department. So let's import and annotate with @data for number, all arguments and no arguments constructor. So this will be my response template where I need to map the employee and department. Now let's go back to controller and create a wrapping method. So this will take an ID which is employee ID, and it is for get mapping, and we will be passing path variable as ID. Let's make a service method and we'll call the repository from here. Write the response template vivo equals new response template, and we will get the ID from the user, and we have a separate service, department service. We need to get department details for a particular employee ID. So we will add employee equals employee dot by employee ID. Now we got employee ID details here. Now we have to get department details for this employee. So for that we have separate service, a department service. So let's write a REST template and to get department details to this particular employee. Let me create a method, and let's go to our main class and create REST template. Protected REST template return new REST template. So we have done creating REST template and annotate with B. Now let's go back to our service and create REST template auto-while REST template and we'll update with auto. So we got the employee details here. Now we have to get the department details from the department service. So let's create department equals REST template dot get for object passing URL, and then we need to pass department class type class. So we know that department service is currently running in 8081. So let's create the URL here. It would be http://localhost 8081/department/ so we get the department ID from the employee entity. So we can write employee dot department ID vivo dot set employee and vivo dot set department. Now let's return the vivo object. So what we did, we got the user details here. We need to get department details for the particular user. So we are creating a REST template and we are calling the particular URL passing the department ID. So once we pass this department ID, we get the department details here, and we are saving those in vivo object, which is response template object. This is actually not a good practice, as we are hard coding our URLs here. We will try to replace this with the service name. So we will do it later. So let's go back and check the configurations. Yeah, this will be 8081 for department service. Let me check the port number details. Okay, we did not add yet. So let's go back and configure our employee service with Eureka client and new port number. So let's go with file application.yaml file. We create server.port. We have 8081, so we will create 8082. So we'll make our service name, Spring application name as employee service, and let me copy my Eureka client details from the application YAML file of department service. So this is done. So we are pointing to 8761 Eureka. So this will be our Eureka client. So we have done the configuration for our employee service too. So let me start with the service registry, and then we'll start the department service and employee service. So we have started service registry application. I guess I forgot to remove this line, as I have already configured that in application.yaml file. Employee service, okay. So let's start the department service. I got few issues on running employee service and department service both, so I have to make some changes. After little struggle, I have started all the three services. There are few code changes which I made. Let me recap those. So I forgot to write request body at creating of department to save the department details. So you need to add request body here, or else you will get null response when you hit the postman in post method. So this is the change which I made, and I have added loggers in employee controller. I have used slf4j, and I have added the loggers here for both methods, save and get employee by department. Also, I have modified the method name get employee by department. It will be easier to understand so what exactly we are doing. So similar to this, I have added slf4j in employee service, and I have added loggers here. Also, I have made some change in my port number for department service. I have updated my port number to 8083. I was getting little glitch while rerunning the department. It says this has been used. So I have made change from 8081 to 8083. So I have to make same change here in my employee service with 8083. Also, I have added this query which I forgot to add before. This is to get the employee details by passing employee ID. So I have added this query here. Okay, so I have started all my servers. All three are running now. One is the service registry application. The second one is the department service, and the third one is employee service. So all three are running now. So let's create JSONs in my postman and retest all the services. So I have created few JSONs for department and employee. So let's post some department details. So in the body, I am passing department name, department address and department code. Department ID will be auto generated. So let's send this. So I got the department ID as 3 and department name, address and code. Now let's check the get for the department. I will pass department ID as 3 and let me hit once. So I got the details, department ID as 3, EC, XYZ college and the department code. So in a similar way, let's test the post of employee. So in employee, we have first name, last name, employee ID, department ID and age. So I will add Minas Tech. Let me add tech here to recheck. Minas Tech, and I will add department number 3. So let's hit this post call. So you can see employee 2 is been added and in the department number 3. So let's check the get call for employee. So let's pass employee ID as 2. So you can see here we got the response for employee get with the department details. So this employee ID 2 is mapped with the department ID 3. Now let's go back to our browser and check the Eureka client for the running microservice instance. We'll check localhost 8761 and enter. That's great. You can see here department service and employee service instance are running now with the port number 8082 and 8083. So this means user is trying to hit the microservices with the help of request mappings. In the next video, we will create API gateway. User will send a request to API gateway and API gateway will take care of routing to particular microservices.